I hate AAA companies. I don't think I've ever talked about how much I hated this because I don't really talk about that unless I mention it a little bit. But in recent times, I really wanted to talk about the absolute dog shit we call AAA companies, and not only AAA companies, but also every other company that makes the most mentally retarded decisions I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, I appreciate my life, and I also appreciate my soul, and I would not sell it to someone who just expects that I would buy something in this economy. And I am, of course, talking about the PS5 Pro, which is probably the most infuriating thing that I've ever seen. Now, if you guys are mad about the price in America, over here in the great maple syrup country of Canada, it costs 1,000 smackaroos to buy this shit, which is basically the exact same thing as the PS5, but with AI upscaling and better frame rate. Now tell me, besides Demon's Souls, which game has actually tested the true power of the PS5? I'll tell you, only a handful exclusive-wise. The rest can probably still run on a PS4. That's how trash this generation of consoles are. I would argue that The Last of Us Part 2 had the most visually stunning exclusive of the PS4, and I would say that it was a perfect game in terms of visuals and really challenged the power of the PS4. But with PS5, it looks so identical to the PS4 port. I am going to get a part-time job soon, and I am not going to fucking spend my hard-earned money just for AI upscaling and better frame rate. I might as well should buy the PS5 and move on with my life because I am not spending this much money on this shit. Why does PlayStation think this? Do they really think that their fan base is this dumb to fall for something like this? I know PlayStation dick riders exist, but I don't even think they're going to buy it. And it has something to do with sales. Apparently the sales on the PS5 wasn't enough from what I've heard, or something like that. And I feel like the problem would easily been solved if they just give the fans what they want. Do you know how many people wanted a Bloodborne 2 or remake or remaster? It has nearly been 9 years and people are still asking for it. Instead of that, they decide, you know what? Horizon Remaster. I know Horizon makes you money, but seriously? You have this amazing IP that everyone in the Souls community adores, and you don't do nothing with it? For God's sake, give it to FromSoft. In my eyes, they are the true owners of this game, because they're the ones who created the concepts, the amazing combat, and god-tier lore. It even goes to the point where there's an emulator for Bloodborne on PC, and Sony doesn't give a shit. And if you don't give a shit, why even have it as one of your IPs? In total, on the PS4 alone, Bloodborne has sold 7 million copies. Imagine the amount of money FromSoft would make if they had the IP. And I watched a video by VG Fight School, and he discussed that the reason why we don't get a Bloodborne remake or remaster is because the sales that Bloodborne made weren't enough for them to give a shit about it. Yes, you heard that right. Their greedy asses only give a fuck about an IP if it has enough sales on the IP. So that means Stellar Blade won't get a sequel or remaster because it sold 1 million copies. And people clearly want a Bloodborne remake or remaster, but we're not getting none of that. And that's a massive L for this greedy fucking company. And speaking of IPs, a company that just continuously takes L's is Warner Brothers. And to be more specific, this. How can you possibly reject this idea? Don't get me wrong, Warner Brothers are clearly greedy, but how can a fucking greedy company miss out on an opportunity like this? You have the animators that animated Spider-Verse, which made hundreds of millions of dollars in the box office. Even if you are an absolute greedy bastard, you would know that it would probably be an amazing opportunity to make a Batman Beyond animated film, because everyone likes Batman Beyond. I had fond memories of watching the first episode multiple times on YouTube, but no, you want to make a live-action Minecraft movie that I would argue you is more of a risk than the thing that you rejected. Because Minecraft should and always be animated. Because Minecraft is cartoony. When you see a Minecraft ad for a new update, it's always animated. But nope, Warner Brothers would much rather pay off journalists to tell you that what you think about the Minecraft movie should be is wrong because it's made for kids. You don't need to be a kid to know that the cinematic trailer for the Minecraft movie is dog shit. And for God's sake, did you even play Minecraft? This is a game where you go to literal hell. And the story of the game is beyond kid-friendly. It has themes of climate change and the horrible things we do to our planet and our selfish desire of greed. Now, what does that remind you of? But nope, you try to de-escalate the situation from your dogshit product. I love Jack Black, but he's not gonna save this film from flopping. And I don't understand how you could take a beloved IP that, in its core, is an animated property and not make it an animated property. Live action does not work for a property that's supposed to be animated. Imagine if Rick and Morty had a live action movie. And you know why they don't have a live action movie? Because people would not watch it. This just proves to me that this is being approved by people who don't understand the property they're creating, but just want to take your money because you like Minecraft, you like going into the nether and losing everything and rage quit and don't come back to the game because you can't bother with it? Don't you? And you know what? This should have been the approach they took, with this property, but instead they make a live action movie for kids, even though kids will automatically see that this is absolute dog water. Do you really think that kids are that dumb that they would not notice that this film looks horrible? That's honestly kind of infuriating. You guys were probably saying, this film looks horrible, but children are kinda dumb and maybe we can appeal to the dumb children, even though they have information granted to them first day that they are born. No child is gonna go to the cinemas and say, hey dad, I want to see that ugly llama again. Companies are worried about money, and that's okay. Everybody in the world probably has some level of greed in them. It's natural as a human being. But I feel like companies should prioritize passion over greed, because if you only think about money, then you won't make a good product. Xbox. Yeah, I see you over there with your layoffs and your fucking horrendous take.
Class citizen, they've invested a ton in our platform, but we are not in a position, and I see it out there, I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way.
It absolutely would change the game. If your game was bad and doesn't have polished gameplay and minimal to no bugs and gameplay that could be replayable from years to come, I think is perfect, and not making that, I don't think that was a good take that he said for his very own console. And let me address the layoffs. Yes, you heard that right. The CEO himself that loves the Xbox community took his greedy little fingers and stuck it straight in the Xbox community's ass crack. Now, I'm not an Xbox fan, but I can't deny that what they did was fucking horrible and next level greed. And you might think that, oh, he just shut down the studios that made bad games. No. He even shut down the studios that made great games. And for what? All for a Game Pass subscription that no one gives a fuck about? You greedy motherfucker. You soulless cunt. How can you justify all of that just for a few $1 million you already have? Does the thought that you just put someone out of a job make you feel better? Or does the money just make the tears go away? This will forever be known as your most greediest moment in Xbox history. And I hope you feel better about yourself, Spencer. But do you know what's worse than every single one of these companies I listed? Worse than Xbox in terms of retardation. Worse than Warner Brothers in terms of not adapting source material well. Worse than PlayStation when it comes to not listening to what the fans want. I'm of course talking about Take-Two Interactive. Now they're good, But to be more specific, I'm talking about this pile of garbage that has 25 different versions of the same shit that for some reason they sell to you for $70 in total at launch day. Now why would I complain since Take-Two Interactive owns Rockstar, which is a studio that produces bangers? Well, maybe it's because of 2K25. This is probably the most wasteful $70 you will ever waste in your life. Now, I'm not a fan of sports games that much. I can say it because it's not for me. But this pile of garbage, more specifically, the My Career mode, is dog shit. Now, what they do first in their plan of greed is an open world, and once you're on that open world, you have to walk to the place you need to be. In order to get a vehicle to transfer from one place to the other, you have to pay an additional $40 to get a vehicle. And it doesn't help that the player that you play as fucking sucks. He can't shoot, he can't handle, he can't even fucking dunk without missing it. And this is done intentionally because the player has stats. And in order to get better, you need to grind. And if you don't feel like grinding, then what you can do is pay money to get your player's stats up. And what's worse is they're probably going to rinse and repeat the same shit for each year to come. And for the 2K fans watching this, I have a question. Why are you willing to be a slave for another 2K? I don't get it. You're obviously not going to spend tens of hours just grinding a character that won't even matter because you're just gonna buy the next 2K the next year. I fucking hate 2K and the scummy business practices that they do. And it is a shame that the company owns Rockstar because, in my opinion, they don't deserve Rockstar. Rockstar Games always felt like an independent studio to me, and it's sad that these guys own them, and it's a bigger shame that people buy these types of games. And yeah, you can like them, but in my eyes, this company views you as a money slave. And at least other companies make quality video games and try to make you feel something, but with 2K games, it's just bad. And again, you can like it, but tell me, is it worth it to buy it every year? And if you're going to buy it every year, are you still going to like it in the long run? Are you ever going to go back to the previous 2K games that you bought for $70? And do you think in the future you're going to say that gaming is dead and there's no good games out there? And once that moment comes, the company has already had their way with you. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. It would really make my day, considering all of this layoff and high price bullshit. And yeah, if you haven't seen my copyright video, it's very good. And if you're interested, then click on the other video, my hardest video game of all time, because that one is also a banger. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Bye.